Invite you all to watch the pinned video that I made on January 30th in anticipation of the 24-hour period that we are in currently. Today is February 25th, 2026. It marks the 2-year anniversary of the self-immolation and martyrdom of the United States veteran Aaron Bushnell in the name of a free Palestine, in the name of dismantling the empire. Tomorrow, February 26th, 2026, will mark the 14th anniversary of the execution of the child, Trayvon Martin. In that video, I touch on very briefly, having grown up in Orlando, what it was like to be in Central Florida when Trayvon was murdered. And sadly, Trayvon was not the first Black child to be executed at the hands of white supremacy, see chattel slavery. And I am quite aware that George Zimmerman is a brown man. Nonetheless, he was operating under white supremacy. And for those of us that considered ourselves the too woke friend even 15-20 years ago, left of center 15-20 years ago, we weren't as far left of center as we thought, because it was all pedagogy and not a lot of praxis, especially for people that look like us. And I say all of that to say that being in Central Florida when Trayvon Martin was executed, there was still a felt sense. There was still a paradigm shift, ether in the air, that a door had been opened that would never be shut. And we know that to be true. That the execution in broad daylight of brown and black bodies at the hands of the empire would continue. And for those of us that have been paying attention and not averting our eyes, it's very easy to connect the dots between what's going on over there, whether it be Palestine, Sudan, DRC, and what's going on here, i.e. the imperial boomerang. Our chickens have come home to roost, i.e. the execution of white mothers in broad daylight. Rest in peace, Renee Good. There are still far too many people that are not paying attention, choose to avert their eyes, willfully ignorant, and are incapable or unwilling to connect the dots. So in that video that I filmed that is pinned, I speak to this 24-hour period as being particularly auspicious, because you have the self-immolation of a white U.S. military male and the anniversary of the execution of a black child for doing nothing other than wearing a hoodie. And now that we have white American women, mothers, men, white men being executed in broad daylight, people are still not connecting the dots. So I just want to speak to the auspiciousness of this 24-hour period, in that we all feel the active material impacts of the empire, late stage capitalism, all of it playing out on our nervous systems, us being forced to cope, process, survive, whilst consuming death and necropolitics 24/7. I want to also remind you, as somebody who personally and academically studies archetypal psychology, that this stuff is always acting on us and our psyches at a subconscious level. See epigenetic trauma, okay? Trauma is passed down epigenetically in the oppressed and in the oppressor, okay? And so all of this death that we are consuming, whether it's here because you can't afford childcare or eggs, or it's because you watched a child with no head in Palestine, The material reality is it's working on your nervous system and your psyche consciously and subconsciously. And the subconscious part will reverberate for generations. Two last things and try and make this somewhat coherent. I rewatched Aaron's video tonight, as I did last year on the first anniversary. And one thing that I noticed tonight for the first time that I hadn't in previous viewings of that footage is the sound of the water bottle that carried the gasoline in it rolling down the sidewalk. And it's so loud. It's only a few seconds, but it's so loud. And it's happening after he's already illuminated. It's so loud. And I want to also remind you that the first responders to the scene for Aaron Bushnell screamed at him while he was fully engulfed head to toe in flames repeatedly to get on the ground, whilst pointing a gun at him. Are you getting it? Are you connecting the dots yet? What black men and black people and other brown and indigenous bodies have been dealing with since time immemorial is now happening to white bodies. Understand that the same machinery, the same systems, the same people hypnotized and programmed by white supremacy that executed a black child for being a black child, pointed a gun at a white U.S. military male veteran fully engulfed in flames, pointed a gun and executed a white mother in her minivan, are lynching black young men, are building concentration camps where pregnant teens, blue butterfly, where trans people are being operated on. Rest in peace, Aaron Bushnell. Rest in power, Trayvon Martin. I don't know. I wish I had some articulate way to button this up, but I don't. But it needs to be spoken into existence. We need because tell me why I have people asking me who Aaron Bushnell is, who Hind Rajab is.